This is Travel in 10, a series of 10-minute travel shows from around the world that you can download to your iPod and take with you as you travel.
And now, your host, David Brody.
This is Travel in 10 and welcome to Vancouver, British Columbia for the 2010 Winter Olympic Games. One of the world's biggest events has just begun here in Vancouver, and travelers from all around the world have already gathered here in the city. I recently got the rare opportunity to run with the Olympic torch as part of the experience, and I'll tell you a bit more about that in just a moment. But first, I want to give you an overview of the journey the torch has taken to arrive here in Vancouver. The torch has now been in every province and territory in Canada, traveling along the 45,000 kilometer route that brought it here last night for the opening of the 2010 Winter Games. The journey began on Mount Olympia in Greece, where the rays from the sun lit the Olympic flame. The torch ran through Greece before traveling by air to Victoria, British Columbia to start the longest Olympic torch relay in history. Vancouver Island communities hosted the torch on its first few days. In Tofino, the first of 14 international stars joined Canadians in running a leg of the relay. Four-time Korean short-track speed skating gold medalist Chun-Li Kyung is used to being in the spotlight, so it was a welcome break for her to step away and enjoy a true West Coast experience. She traveled by kayak to Mears Island, just offshore from Tofino. Local Aboriginal groups have been actively involved in ecotourism developing the region, and they were happy to give her a tour of all that the area has to offer.
This is quite a famous tree. It's a western red cedar. This one's about 1,200 to 1,500 years old.
Surfing is another relatively new attraction that's bringing adventurers from around the world looking for a remote extreme experience to Tofino. The torch caught a wave and rode the Pacific surf to the shore, one of many unusual ways that the torch has traveled throughout its journey. As it began its northern trek, the flame was carried in a traditional First Nations dugout canoe throughout the spectacular scenery of Haida Gwaii in the Queen Charlotte Islands, designated by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. Australian freestyle skier Alison Camplin traveled to the Yukon to take part in the relay and experience some of what the North has to offer.
G'day Australia! Hi Australia!
Camplin won Australia's first Winter Olympic gold, and you can see her competitive spirit as she takes on the 2009 winner of the Yukon Quest Challenge, a grueling 2-week, 1,000-mile race between Fairbanks, Alaska and Whitehorse in the Yukon.
Very good.
Thank you. Thanks for the race. Yep. The dogs are awesome. Oh, it's so peaceful out there. What a beautiful way to see the Yukon. Wow.
The Northern Lights, called the Dance of the Spirits by Canada's Cree people, rode across the evening sky as the Olympic torch continued its travels through the north. The torch reached its northernmost point in Alert, where the Olympic flame was passed into the hands of the self-named Frozen Chosen, a team of 20 runners who work here just 800 kilometers away from the North Pole. The next stop was Canada's East Coast, where Japanese short-track speed skater Ikue Teshigawara enjoyed some sightseeing. Lunenburg is a favorite stop of tourists because of its brightly colored houses and its seafood. Ikue got to sample a Nova Scotia specialty, but first she had to do a little bit of fishing on her own. The next stop for the torch was Prince Edward Island, where Chinese short-track speed skater Yang Yang, a 5-time Olympic medalist, also sampled some of Canada's maritime specialties. Yang Yang had never had oysters before, but that was about to change. Yang experienced the excitement surrounding the torch relay at Green Gables House, the inspiration behind the famous Anne of Green Gables series of books. Canadian hockey great Cassie Campbell carried the torch and lit the cauldron. Moving ahead on its route, the torch spent the next 5 days in New Brunswick, visiting 58 communities. Brazilian gold medal swimmer Cesar Cielo carried the torch at Hopewell Rocks, currently competing to be named as one of 7 new natural wonders of the world. The tide here is the highest and most powerful in the world. The water will rise and fall in as much as 50 feet in the space of just 12 hours.
I think I was just lucky, this is the most beautiful sight I've ever seen in my life, and I'm going to just try to take all in and enjoy the moment as much as I can, because I think this is a unique moment in my life.
German cross-country skiing medalist Peter Scherlickenreiter flew from Munich to Quebec City to join the relay. He and his wife spent a day touring Canada's most historic city.
This is perfect. I've seen a lot of the culture of Quebec. I've done a lot of things Canadians do, and I enjoyed it really. Like this ice skating is my thing.
Bollywood superstar Akshay Kumar got to take a ride up the CN Tower while in Toronto as his part of the run. He's been in over 120 films, many of them shot in Canada. He has millions of fans around the world in India and abroad.
It's one of the dream, from childhood we've been watching on television, some guy carrying the torch along and running. It's a thing which I never in my life believed that that's ever going to happen to me.
This gives you just a bit of a sense of some of the journey that the torch took across Canada as it's made its way here to Vancouver. And this is where I got to join it on day 104, just 2 days before the opening ceremonies in the early hours of the morning here in North Vancouver. It's now about 5:46 in the morning, just on my way to the beginning site of the Olympic torch relay. Should be a pretty amazing experience. When I first arrived to greet the torch, I was met by about 20 other torchbearers who I would spend the morning with, getting to know a bit about the process, a bit about how it was going to work, and also hearing some inspirational words from both the torch committee, who was responsible for organizing logistics of the trip across the country, as well as from local First Nations people. Part of our run went through the Squamish First Nation, and one of the really moving parts of the ceremony in the morning was hearing them talk about their experience, and also experiencing a blessing ceremony that they were involved in to help us get ready for our torch relay segment.
For the athletes around the world. I want to offer a song called Greeting of the Day. Our ancestors would rise to greet the morning sun and give a thanks to our higher power. Thank you.
Briefing from the team that was organizing the torch briefing that day.
Almost 30% of the years. For me, it's going it seems to be long, but for me, it's going very quick. Today it's day 104, and for me, it's not necessarily a good news. I don't want to see the end. And I tried to say to my commander, we forgot the touch where Newfoundland, but he don't want to go back. So, for you guys, 300 meters, it's a split second.
And he was right. It was an experience that was really almost over just as soon as it began. From the moment I lit the torch, time just flew by. But it was a remarkable experience and a great way to experience being part of the Olympic movement and part of what's happening here in Vancouver during the Games. I was also fortunate in that just a couple of runners after me was Canadian boxing legend Sean O'Sullivan. Got to meet him, hear a bit of his story, a remarkable Canadian, and an honor to be running there with him. And of course, also a great part of the experience was getting to share it together with my family, who also came and joined me for the run and was there along the route. So hopefully throughout this run you've got a sense of some of what's happening here in Canada during the Games. Got to get a bit of a snapshot of some of the places that the torch has visited across the country, hopefully places that you might be interested in visiting as well. And we'll of course be bringing you more shows right throughout the Olympics. Back here at www.travelin10.com.
I see the flowers in wildest colors, the rainbows drifting over skies, the breeze is spreading sweet and fleas, and the bees are humming. Oh, why? Yeah. My heart is lighter than a feather, depends upon this wonderful weather.
Thanks for watching the Travel in 10 podcast, a series of 10-minute travel shows from around the world that you can download to your iPod and take with you as you travel. You can find more shows at www.travelin10.com or by searching for Travel in 10 on iTunes.
This has been a presentation of Travel in 10.
La 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 la